Hi BookTube, Aaron here. Hope you're doing okay. Today for Tag Tuesday, I'm coming back with another tag, and I'm going to do the Rootin Tootin June on the Range tag, which is a tag created by Steve Donahue to go along with June on the Range, which is a reading event where loads of people on BookTube are reading westerns. I'm not aiming to partake in this, but it's always an event. Well, I say always, it's only the second year, but it's an event that intrigues me, and we'll maybe get into it a little bit as I answer the questions. But I was tagged by Sean D. Standfast, so thank you very much, Sean, for the tag. And yeah, let's just jump into it. So the first question: a ways out west. Have you ever been to the American West? And no, I haven't. The furthest west I've been is, I think, the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland. So that's about as far west as I've ever been. And I've always felt, if we're thinking of I don't know, I've always felt kind of Western, and not in like the sort of general sense, but in the fact that in the UK, I've always lived sort of on the western kind of half, and have an affinity to that side of the UK. I don't really know much about the other half really. And as not quite as far as up as you can go, but certainly, um, yeah, in Wales, England, and Scotland, a lot of my time has been more on the western side. Um, and I'd like to make it out to the west coast of Ireland at some point, and to maybe the Isle of Skye in Scotland, and maybe one day the American West, but who knows. Number 2, Dry Gulch. What's the smallest town you've ever visited? Don't really know. Living in the UK, I've probably visited quite a few quite small towns. The village I grew up in was just over 2,000 when I was growing up. I think it's actually gone down a bit now. I think lots of people have, like me, have grown up and moved away, and it's sitting just below. It's gone down by about 100, 150, something like that. So the town I live in at the moment is a bit of a weird one, because it's a market town that has loads of old sort of mining villages and communities around it, and they've all sort of merged. And so the town where I live, Pontypridd, has 31,914 as its population. Where I actually live, the actual community itself, I couldn't find an accurate population for it after 1891, but apparently in 1891 it had a population of 1,500, and I can only guess that it's gone down since then. Number 3, where the buffalo roam. Have you ever seen an American bison in person? I don't think I have, but there are sub-questions to this question. So then, what's the largest hoofed animal you have ever seen? And I think that must be a giraffe. I think that's the most common answer here. I've also seen some camels, but yeah, I don't think I've seen anything bigger than that in person. And then, do you have any evidence that you live near coyotes? And to the best of my knowledge, I don't think so. I don't think there are any coyotes in South Wales. But there's a heron that lives near me. That's about as close as it gets. Or apparently there was a black fox in the area recently, which is quite rare. But anyway, number 4, old Doc Frye. What's your history with westerns? So with novels, TV shows, movies. The novels kind of had me stumped, because when I was a kid, I was given some kids. I don't know whether they're kids western novels or not really. And I was trying to remember their name, and I know Little Big Man by Thomas Berger was kind of ringing a bell, but I'm not entirely sure if it was those. That there might have been some others as well. But if it wasn't Little Big Man, it was something very similar to that. And they're the only books that I can remember from when I was growing up. Not really much on TV, but movies there was a fair bit more. And so being quite young, I can remember seeing Winchester 73 with Jimmy Stewart, and it was good. It taught me what Ricochet was. When I was a bit older, I saw Fistful of Dollars and some other of those spaghetti westerns with Clint Eastwood, and a Clint Eastwood western that kind of escapes me now, from maybe like the mid-70s or early 80s, and it's not a spaghetti western, and I could just remember it being it was like somewhere like up in the mountains, and it was kind of snowy, and it was like I can remember being, sort of mid-teens and watching it and being quite confused, being like, it's a western, why is it snowing? It was quite good, but can't remember its name. But really, if we get into the seriously good stuff, Calamity Jane was a big one, and maybe the best western ever, Way Out West with Laurel and Hardy. Yeah, maybe the best film ever made. And also I really quite like Dead Man, the Jim Jarmusch film, which is not a typical western, but if you like Neil Young's music and black and white films, and just William Blake's poetry and some really eerie sort of atmosphere, then yeah, you might quite like that film. Number 5, Diamond Lil at the Rialto saloon. What's your relationship with alcohol, and have you ever had a friendship with a bartender? My relationship with alcohol, I drink. I quite like beer. I drink mainly for sort of the taste and like the variety of like different kinds of beer, and that's my main relationship with alcohol. If we're thinking of it like a relationship, I would say that it's a friendship that's okay, but I'm maybe realizing that I might need to spend a little less time with them. And ever had a friendship with a bartender? Not really. Had some friends at school, and their parents owned bars and stuff, or pubs, but that's about as close as I got. Number 6, the city slicker from back east. What do you consider the best Western novel you have ever read? And I'm putting this in here because it's the only one I can remember reading, and that's the Oxbow incident, and I'll pop it up for you. And it's quite a heavy one. It's about a lynching, and I seem to remember quite liking it, but I can't really remember much of the sort of major plot details. But I thought, I have kind of positive feelings about the experience of reading it, but a lot of this tag and just a lot of the talk around June on the Range has kind of made me realise that I haven't really read that many westerns, and it was an aesthetic and a mood that I quite liked when I was growing up, and it still has a bit of an allure. Anyway, I still think it's quite cool now, and so maybe I should read some more westerns, but I don't think I'll get to any this year. Number 7, The Man with the Badge. Have you ever been in charge of other people? And what's the most authority you've ever handled? And would you be good at it? No, I've not really been in charge of other people. I've helped out in some classrooms. Ooh, I'm going to show you something actually. One moment. That's the train behind my house. And it's a freighter taking some supplies up the valley. Thought I'd show you that. It had a kind of Western vibe to me. Pretty cool. So, number 7, authority. No, I've not really. I've worked in some schools, doing a bit of like supply teaching and sort of classroom assistance, but yeah, I wouldn't really say I had all that much authority in that situation, and yeah, I'm probably a little too timid to to handle that too much authority. Number 8, the Tombstone Kid. Have you ever fired a gun, been a gun aficionado, or been shot? No, no, and no. That's kind of the theme of this tag. That's all my answers. No. Number 9. It ain't the bullet that gets you, it's the fall. How would you ideally like to check in your chips? And yeah, bit of a morbid one, quite a hard one as well. And yeah, as long as I felt like it was worth it in some way, that life was worth it, then I don't mind. I wouldn't want it to be too painful. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really don't really think there is an ideal way, but as long as you feel like everything has been okay, then yeah, you can't really ask for that much more. And then number 10, tag some owl hoots. And loads of people have done this, so I don't know exactly who to tag. And so I will tag you. I'll leave it open. So if you haven't done this, please consider yourself tagged. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.